on to Meloetta Turbo to a Quadcopter featuring a new Quad Stone from Silver Tempest, which is a new item that allows you to heal all damage from each of your Pokemon. If you play 4 copies of this card at once, you can also choose to play 1 copy at a time, but you only get to heal 10 damage from your active Pokemon if you choose to do so. So we want to be pulling off a max recovery with this card by playing all 4 copies in a single turn, and that means we can't actually play it for the 10 damage recovery since we have no way of retrieving our item cards for this deck. While playing this card with our Metagross VMAX tanking big damage while doing max rush, hitting 100 damage for our first strike, and then a consistent 250 damage after, since we are only having 1 Pokemon in play with 0 bench. With our Lucky Ice Pop, Crystal Cave, Yell Towel, and Cook for early damage recovery before we pull out all 4 pieces of the precious gemstone. For the draw and source support, we have 3 Adaman, 3 Kabu, 1 Marnie, 1 Schoolgirl, and 1 Pokegear. We also have 1 Peonia to swap out any pieces of our Quad Stone stuck in a prize, 1 PokéStop to dig out our items, 1 Lost City to counter 1 prize decks, and 1 Cologne for Miltank. We're also playing 3 copies of the new V-Guard Energy, which allows our Pokemon with its special energy attached to take 30 less damage from our opponent's V Pokemon's attacks. To prevent our opponent from doing a one-hit knockout on our VMAX with effects of attacks, we have 1 Big Parasol. We also have 1 Drapion V to counter Mew VMAX decks since they have the potential to knock out our Metagross with 1 hit. For the extra free search, which could help us get our final copy of Quad Stone to do a full recovery, we're playing 1 copy of the new Forest Steel Stone from Silver Tempest, which is a new tool card that gives your Pokemon V with its tool attached a V-Star power called Star Alchemy. You may use this ability once during a turn to search your deck for any 1 card and put it into your hand. We also have 1 coating for the Weakness Guard, 1 Tracking Shoes for the Tiny Draw, and 14 basic Metal Energy to make it easier for us to play Adaman. So that's all for the deck list, now let's go for some gameplay! Okay, let's go with our first game versus Arceus VSTAR with Lucario. They got Crobat VMAX as well, so they're hitting for the weakness against colorless decks and lightning Pokemon, including, darkness is good against Mew VMAX, so they got Crobat VMAX for Mew. They got Lucario for mirror Arceus matchups, and Hisui and Zoroark, but I don't think Lucario is working that well for meta right now, just because we have Lugia VSTAR, which is actually a flying type. So I think Flying Pikachu would be actually the perfect anti-meta card to be playing with an Arceus box instead of Lucario, but they actually are doing Lucario for some reason. Maybe they are a Lucario fan, I don't know. So here comes Metagross. I almost called it Magnezone again. Metagross is in the active, thank God. We actually got a Drapion as well. So if you are forced to get, if you are forced to attack with Drapion first, that would be quite bad because you may not be able to do the attack without attaching energies, because your opponent could actually play 0 copies of Sobbles or Rapid Strike, Single Strike, Fusion Strike Pokemon. They may not have anything that actually helps you reduce the attack cost. So Drapion may actually be quite bad for this deck, but we actually have that 1 escape rope to save us. We do have 3 copies of our Metagross V, so it's not that difficult to get our Metagross as our first active. If we get Drapion, we have that 1 escape rope to save ourselves, but basically, we can't survive a Mew VMAX because Mew VMAX can do a 1-hit knockout against a quad deck. That's the reason Drapion is here. Drapion is actually helping us counter Mew VMAX because Mew VMAX is crazy right now. I don't know why everybody's playing Mew VMAX, just because, it's free now. Mew VMAX is basically free. Genesect V is on the ladder, and people are doing Mew VMAX like crazy. I think Mew VMAX was on the on the previous ladder as well. Mew and Mew VMAX, we got 1 copy, and now we got 2 Genesects on the ladder, which is crazy. Okay, here comes the VMAX. So the reason they evolve is because they know we actually need to kill another 2 V Pokemon to collect the final 3 prizes. Because apparently they are not playing any supports. They're not doing Bibarel, they're not doing Mew. They don't have any other bench supports because they have Starbirth, and they actually got, I suppose they probably are playing a lot more supporter cards or Crobats than we think. Maybe a Lumineon as well. If they do Lumineon though, we can do a boss. We have no boss Serena for this deck, but they may not be expecting that. Or we can just do Escape Rope at the last second to kill something on the bench. So I don't think it's that wise to be evolving the Crobat, because they should be expecting a knockout on the next turn. We have our Max Rush doing 250 damage on the next turn. They may not be familiar with Metagross because we only are doing 100 damage on the last turn, but we get to do 250 now. We get to do 250 every single turn from now on until it dies, or if it can't attack. If for some reason the opponent plays an Omanite V, deny you from attacking, then, you know, Metagross actually has to do 100 damage from the start all over again. So your opponent can actually play cards like, you know, Omanite or Beartic or anything like that to prevent you from attacking for that one turn. If you can't attack, that means you are doing 100 damage on the next turn. Max Rush is reset, that means you can't actually do 250 anymore. So here comes their first Bibarel, and they actually do have it. So I don't know why they evolved the Crobat just now. It was a huge mistake. Because now we're down to 3 prize. We just need to boss a 1 prize on the bench, but we have no boss in this deck just because we want to be playing a very different strategy. We want to be healing over and over and over until we win the game. So it doesn't matter what they put into the active. It doesn't matter what happens. We can last a long time doing 250 damage every single turn. We can last multiple turns by having only one Metagross in the active. And then at the final second, just before our Metagross dies, we can bench another one and then play a second Metagross for even more Max Rush, for even more damage. And if they choose to boss kill our Metagross on the bench, we can actually play Crystal Cave more times, or like use Lucky Ice Pop all over again on the first VMAX, which would actually be quite terrible though, because we want to be expecting them to kill the active. Because if they kill the active, then we actually get to have as much HP on the bench as possible. If they do a boss and kill the bench with full HP, that means we are gonna have to heal back all the damage counter on the active, and it's not that easy to pull that off anymore, since we have probably exhausted all of our heal cards by then. By the time we have to bench a second Metagross, so it would actually quite, you know, it would be quite risky for that by that stage of the game. But if they do a boss though, you are allowed to attack one more time at least with your active Metagross VMAX. You're only doing 100 damage though, unfortunately, because if they do a boss escape rope, effects are all gone. That means on the next turn you're not doing 250 anymore. You're not doing 150 more damage with your Max Rush. The damage resets as well. Okay, are we gonna get a V-Guard? I think we already have one attached. There we go. So we're just gonna bench a second one because apparently we couldn't heal enough damage. Lucario is... So if we heal 50, this is where I made the mistake. I searched for a Ice Pop and Crystal Cave instead of the Yell Towel. If I searched for a Yell Towel, if I got a Yell Towel with a Crystal Cave, we would have been able to avoid a knockout on the next turn because we have a V-Guard energy. So V-Guard energy is actually reducing Lucario's damage down to 210. That means they're only doing 210 damage on our VMAX, which is not actually enough to kill us. If we healed 30 more damage, my bad. If we have 30 more damage recovery, they're only putting damage counter until we have 32, sorry, they are only placing until we have 32 damage counter on Metagross. That means we have 10 HP remaining on the next turn. They're not placing damage counter, but you know what I mean. They are doing 210 damage, and that means we have 10 more HP. If we played the Yell Towel, which is just depressing because we just searched for the wrong heal card. So we got our Z Traction and V-Guard energy. We can't actually use Z Traction if we attach the V-Guard, just because Z Traction requires 1 metal. So make sure you're aware of that. If you attach the V-Guard, you can't use Z Traction. You can't search for extra cards. So right now, we actually get to search for free, but we are forced to search for the Quad Stone. If we don't get the Quad Stone, we are virtually done. So we can either choose to search for 2 Quad Stones or 2 Metal Energy, and this is where I made the wisest decision of my life. I think this is like, I don't know what happened. I'm like I don't know. This is like an epiphany for me. This is the first time that I made a very good decision, which rarely happens. So I got 2 Metal Energy instead of the Quad Stone, because if you got 2 Quad Stone out, that means you would have 1 copy left in the deck, and it's not that easy to top deck that Quad Stone or even discard the top 3 cards with the PokéStop. It's not that easy to get the Quad Stone with the PokéStop anymore. So that's the reason I searched for 2 Metal Energy, is because we can use Adaman to get the remaining 2 copies after playing the PokéStop. So we play PokéStop to get 1 out, and then now we played Adaman to get the final 2 copies, And now we get to play our Quad Stone Insanity, healing all damage from each of your Pokemon. But we only have one Pokemon in play though, unfortunately. This is a quad deck after all. But that's okay, we are healing all damage with an item, so even if it's just one Pokemon, it's still a big plus. We get to keep all the energies, we're not doing Hyper Potion, we're not doing Cheryl, we get to keep all energy including the V-Guard, which is crazy. That means they are doing only 210 damage on the next turn, and now we got a free knockout. We got a free knockout on the Lucario V-Star, collecting the final prize by doing a V knockout, which is crazy. They just conceded. So now let's go ahead for the next game. They got a Dragonite coin. I wonder what they're playing. We got 2 Metagross to start, that's great. And a lot of metal energies. So the reason we're playing that many metal is because Adaman is not that, I don't know how to say his name, Adaman is not that easy to play. If you don't have enough basic metal energy in your deck, Adaman is not gonna do anything for you. That's why we only are playing 3 copies of that supporter and like a huge amount of energies. Including the V-Guard, we actually have like 15 or 16 energies now. My bad. I think it's more than that. So 14 plus 4, that's like 18 energies. That's like more than the usual amount for any deck. I don't think we need that much energy for Metagross VMAX. If you are doing Metagross VMAX quad deck, I think you need at most 12 energies in your deck because you just need 2 energy to attack. If you're playing Hyper Potion though, you need like your Rapid Strike energy and a couple more double turbos in the deck as well. So Hyper Potion is gonna make the quad Metagross a lot stronger, obviously, because you get to play double turbo in addition to your Rapid Strike energy for a huge recovery. 120 is a lot, but we are doing Quad Stone instead, which is a lot more fun. I think it's a new card that nobody uses, and apparently it works really well with Metagross. Now we're up against a Mew VMAX, and we got our secret Drapion V weapon, save in the belt. It could be prized though, and we don't actually have a heavy ball for this deck. We can't find the space for it, unfortunately. I really want to add a heavy ball, but eventually decided that we need 3 incense. If we don't play 3 incense, if we play 2 incense, 2 Ultra Ball, for some reason we're not getting our evolution. It's not that easy to get the evolution. If we're playing 3 quick ball, it's too much. If we're playing only 2 quick ball, it's the perfect number for us to bench it at the right time. To bench a second Metagross just before our first one gets knocked out. So we need the 2 quick ball in addition to the Ultra Ball to get our basic. If we don't play those, we aren't able to bench the Metagross that easily. It's not that easy to do that anymore. If we play heavy ball without getting the Metagross in the prize, then it's not going to do anything for us. We're going to die on the next turn if they are, if they reduce our HP down to the, down to the danger zone. So now here comes Meloetta doing Melodious Echo on the first turn, going second, which is just insane. Thank God they didn't have the Forest Stone. If they got the Forest Stone and the Choice Belt, they can actually kill us on the first turn. Isn't that crazy? They got the Forest Stone to search for either another Fusion Strike energy, or a Choice Belt, or a Power Tablet. If they got one of either 3 already in their hand, including the Forest Seal Stone, they get to do 240 damage. 240 damage on the first turn, going second with Meloetta is just crazy. I can't stand Meloetta right now. So we have no cards in our hand, unfortunately, no heal cards, and I know how much Mew VMAX is able to do. I know they have like Choice Belt and not double turbo, what's it called again? Power Tablets, and a lot of ways of getting those cards out. So that's the reason I benched the second one that early. If they do a boss, we are resetting our damage back to 100. So if you bench the second Metagross, you have to be prepared for that. An escape rope, a boss. Not only are they killing off your bench V, they are also reducing the amount of damage you're doing on the next turn, which is like, double sabotage. Techno Blast, and we died. We got our first VMAX in the gutter, unfortunately. So we're gonna play a Kabu right now, and I think we should have benched. I don't think we have the Quick Ball. I think we actually got a second Metagross. If we got the Quick Ball on the last turn, we would have definitely searched for a Drapion instead of the Metagross. Okay, we got a Schoolgirl and a Kabu. We should be playing a Kabu right now. So I started off building this deck with 4 copies of Kabu and 4 Adaman, but now we only have 3 of each, just because both those cards aren't that easy to play. If you bench a second Metagross, you're only drawing up to 4 cards with that Kabu, and that's why we have 1 Marnie now in, to replace for that extra Kabu. So we're doing Z traction for this turn. Let's get Drapion out actually. Are we gonna get 2 Quad Stones? I think we actually did that. Okay, I think we got 2 Quad Stones. We should have gotten the Forest Seal Stone, but I don't really want to use the VSTAR power that early. You could actually save it for, when you need it later. You never know when you need it, honestly. Okay. Do they have it? Do they have Choice Belt? Do they have Power Tablets? I think they need the max amount. They're doing 120 extra damage with 4 Power Tablets. If they have 1 prize, they drew 3 prize cards though on the last turn, so I'm not that sure if they have any of the Power Tablets prize now. It would be quite unlikely. So if they play all 4 Power Tablets, they're doing 330 damage already without the Choice Belt, so that's actually really, really bad. I think we destroyed only 1 Fusion Strike energy, and that means they can still play Elisa for 210 damage with Melodious Echo, but 210 is not more than the Technoblast, so it's basically the same as Genesect's attack. So it doesn't matter if they use Meloetta or Genesect, it's the same thing. Elisa. Okay. So this guy is kind of an amateur player, I guess, because they have weird supporters like Hop and Chili, Silent, and Crest. I don't think anybody plays Chili, Silent, and Crest. Chili, Silent, and Crest is really good for Fusion Strike deck though, because it gets you your Genesect, it gets you your Mew VMAX and Mew as well. It is a supporter card, which isn't that great, because if you play balls to get your Pokemon and your item VIP pass, cards like that, that means you get to play supporter to do something else, like a boss. Or even, control supporters like Oleana. Not many people play Oleana anymore. I don't think that card does anything anymore, because you got so many search supports. We got Star Alchemy now, we got Star Birth. What else do we have? Shady Dealings, crazy abilities. I don't think there's any value to Oleana right now. For many sets now, actually. So here comes the second Mew VMAX. Are they going to evolve it? I think they actually did Psychic Leap right here. They did Psychic Leap and Shuffle back, and that means they're saving themselves 3 prize on the next turn. They actually put forth the Meloetta, so it doesn't really matter. We just need to heal the 40 damage. We are only taking 40 damage because we have a V-Guard, so Psychic Leap is not doing enough. They are basically trying to reduce the amount of Power Tablets that they need to play though. They may not have the Power Tablets in hand enough to kill us off with 1 hit, but we actually attach a second V-Guard. We attach a second V-Guard, that means they need 390 damage to kill our Metagross, and you know what that means. They are not able to do a 1-hit knockout anymore. They need 4 Power Tablets and like 1 Choice Belt with a Leon. If they don't pull off all of that, they can't kill Metagross with 1 hit, and we are healing everything with Quad Stone on the next turn. So let's see what they're gonna do. 330 with 4 Power Tablets, 360 with the Choice Belt. That means they need the Leon. I don't think they're playing Leon for a Mew VMAX deck. You never know though. I don't think Mew VMAX needs a Leon though, do they? Unless if they want to kill a second VMAX, because they don't actually have enough resources to knock out 2 VMAX with 1 hit. Turn after, one turn after the other. Here comes the Mew VMAX back into the game. the same one, I think. And they're gonna draw cards with Genesect. So I was debating what what stadium card to play for this deck. I was kind of jumping around between Path to the Peak and Temple of Sinnoh, and eventually decided that Lost City is so much better. Lost City helps you counter one-price decks. If they play cards like Lunatone Solrock or Radiant Charizard, Radiant Jirachi, you know, if they play those cards that require a lot of rods or carriers to recycle and retrieve Pokemons from the discard pile, you can actually lost them and then they're done for. So if they don't get their stadium cards, you can keep on losting, they're active and they're dead. If they play Lunatone Solrock though, they're probably going to play a lot of Pokestops and a lot more stadiums than that, so it's not, or training card even, it's not that easy to win against Lunatone Solrock, but we do have our heal cards, and Lunatone is not doing a one-hit knockout anyways. Radiant Charizard is possibly doing a knockout, because we have that one coating, but only for possibly one Metagross to protect from the weakness. They could actually play Fan of Waves as well, so Fan of Wave is gonna basically leave us vulnerable to Fire-type moves all over again, and V-Guard is not working against Radiant Charizard, because it only works against V Pokemons, it doesn't work against Rulebox, it doesn't work against Radiant. And we're gonna Adaman for our Quad Stone, and we're gonna heal all damage from it. I don't think we need to Adaman for anything else, right? Oh, we got... Okay. I think we got Drapion. Interesting. We actually decided to play Drapion, which is kind of risky though. We should be playing Drapion at the last second. So Drapion is doing 190 damage, which is actually killing Genesect with one hit. Not if they are playing a Oricorio though. If they have Oricorio on the bench, Genesect is able to survive Drapion's attack. Unless if you do Choice Belt. So we're gonna do Escape Rope to kill something for 2 price on the bench. They gave us the Mew VMAX because they know Genesect is dying as well, because we're doing 190, which is a lot for a free energy attack. We're just gonna hit the Drapion because it's gonna die anyways. If they do a boss, it will be quite bad. So this is the turn where it's weird, because if they do a boss, we can attack with the Drapion to win the game. If they don't do a boss, then we got our Metagross to heal on the next turn with Quad Stone. So I don't think they should be doing a boss though. They have no choice but to kill off the Drapion, right? Because that's probably the biggest threat right now. Drapion. There we go. 1 copy and you win the entire game. That's how dumb Mew VMAX is. Mew VMAX is like obsolete now. It's totally destroyed. All you need is 1 Drapion with any deck that you build and Mew VMAX is gone. Or even enough of your Temple of Sinnoh, because they have Fusion Strike Energy Elisa, they have double turbos. I don't think Mew VMAX can survive Temple of Sinnoh. Oh, my bad. Because Fusion Strike Energy, Cross Fusion requires 2 colorless. So even if you play Temple of Sinnoh, if they have like 1 Fusion Strike Energy attached with a Psychic Energy, they can still use Cross Fusion Strike. So Mew VMAX can still do Techno Blast, Melodious Echo. Temple of Sinnoh doesn't really do much against Mew VMAX decks unless if they do a lot of double turbos. If they play more double turbos than the Elisa Fusion Strike Energy, then it's gonna force them to attach an extra copy on the same Mew just to attack. And here comes Adaman. We made the mistake of discarding. We made the mistake of playing the PokéStop first, because we actually discarded the V-Guard energy. We could have searched for 1 copy of the Quad Stone with a V-Guard. That would have helped us a lot more, because that's our 3rd copy of V-Guard and we just discarded it. So we got our Cook instead, preparing to heal on the next turn. They could do a Marnie though, so that's why I say V-Guard is a lot better. Unless if they do Temple of Sinnoh. So Temple of Sinnoh actually shuts down a lot of things right now. It shuts down, Fusion Strike Energy. You can use your ability. You can use Zigzagoon or Inteleon Quick Shoot to hit your Mew VMAX. You can shut down Double Turbo. You can shut down Rapid Strike Energy, Single Strike Energy. What else? Regenerative Energy, V-Guard Energy. You could actually play Regenerative for your Metagross VMAX deck. So attach the Regenerative on your first turn, expect to take a few damage if you go first, and then on the next turn evolve to recover 100 HP from your Metagross. I think that makes a little sense, but I prefer to play V-Guard because even if you are recovering 100 HP, I don't think you would take that much damage on the first turn anyways, unless if they do Mew VMAX. So you actually have to sacrifice the first 3 price if they do Mew VMAX, just because they are doing so much damage early in the game, and we don't actually have the choice but to take the damage. So we actually won the game already. Even with Oricorio in play, we actually get to do... we recovered though. We recovered so much damage. We tanked a lot, and we just recovered almost everything with our Cook, Lucky Eyes Pop, and that one Crystal Cave. So we're doing only 80 HP on the last turn because, you know, we actually have to reset our damage playing the Drapion. That means you're doing only 100 damage minus 20 because Oricorio. And now we're doing 230 damage, which is exactly enough to kill out the Mew VMAX. 310 HP. If they don't play Heat Energy, doesn't work obviously. If they don't play Cape of Toughness, doesn't work as well, my bad. What's it called again? Big Charm. If they don't have Big Charm attached to the Mew VMAX or V-Guard Energy, then we actually get to kill it quite easily. So V-Guard works for everything. V-Guard works for your 1 price cards as well. You can attach it to your Wailord, you can attach it to your Metagross. It only protects against V Pokemon though, so it's not as powerful as Pot Helmet or as Wailord's ability, because those Pokemon, those abilities and effects, you know, works against everything, against all attacks. You take 30 less damage from all attacks. Right now we're up against a Palkia V-Star deck. And we got pretty close to playing the Quad Stone. Was it this game though? I'm not too sure now. It could actually be some other game where we got really close to playing the gem. It's pretty crazy, isn't it? First ever card that requires you to play all 4 copies. I think so. I'm not too sure now. Oh, there is the Clover, right? I remember someone told me about a Clover. There was a Clover during Sun and Moon set. If you play all 4 Clovers at the same time, you get to draw 1 prize or something like that. So there is the Clover. And now we have the Quad Stone. If you play all 4 at the same time, you get to heal all damage from every single Pokemon in play. Every single one of your Pokemon, obviously. Lake Acuity for a water deck. So Lake Acuity is very fun because if you have Rapid Strike Energy, if you play Aurora Energy, Spiral, Impact Energy, Fusion Strike Energy as well, you can play Lake Acuity to take 20 less damage from your, from damage from your opponent's Pokemon. Because, Rainbow Energy actually counts as fighting or water. So you can play Mew VMAX with Lake Acuity as well, which is pretty interesting. Elisa for the damage boost. That means Mew VMAX essentially have 350 HP because Oricorio and Lake Acuity is reducing damage. That would be quite fun though, wouldn't it? It doesn't really do much against Drapion though, because Drapion is doing 380 damage. So you kind of need like 2 V-Guard in addition to your Lake Acuity and Oricorio. Since they're doing that much damage, 380 though. Okay, here comes Starmie doing Spiral, something Spiral for 100 damage. Palkia is not doing a lot of damage though. Palkia is only doing 20 plus for each bench Pokemon, and since you're playing a quad deck, we have 0 bench. So they can only do up to 160 damage with Palkia without the Choice Belt though. If they play Crabominable, they can quite easily knock us out. Because they're forcing us to recover, a lot of damage every single turn. If we don't heal until we have like 3 damage counter remaining, then we can't actually win the game. We can't survive the next hit. Because they just need 4 damage counter to kill the VMAX. They're doing 60x damage counter plus 90 base. So 240 plus 90, that's 330 on its own. If we have a V-Guard, they can still kill us. If we have 2 V-Guards, I'm not so sure. 370, I don't think so, right? If they play a Choice Belt though, they can knock us out. $330 plus 4, 370. Yeah, it's not enough. If we have 2 V-Guard, they can't actually kill us with Abominable. If we have 4 damage counters, so we need to keep on recovering until we have 4 or 3 damage counter remaining. They can play like Quick Shoot Inteleon at the last minute or even Zigzagoon, so you never know what they have inside the deck and what they're gonna pull off. It's always safer to heal as much as you can. We even have a Nurse Joy, sorry, a Pokemon Center Lady for this game, only for this game though, not for the final list. I prefer to play more power supporters like, you know, draw supports. I actually replace quite a lot of heal cards for draw supports just because we need them to basically keep the deck more consistent. If we're not able to draw anything, we're done for. So it's better to play more of your draw supports. Okay, they're not doing a lot of damage. I don't think they can ever knock us out. We just recovered everything. And we're doing 250 damage, almost killing the Palkia, because if we have a Choice Belt right now, you know what I mean? If we have a Choice Belt, oh well. We actually played, we're playing a very defense buff. We're playing a defense build, because we have Big Parasol against cards like Amazing Yveltal or Hisuian Zoroark. We got paired against Hisuian Zoroark a few times, and eventually I decided, you know what, let's just play a Parasol, and Zoroark is not gonna be able to mess with us anymore. Hisuian Zoroark has the 0 energy attack that actually knocks you out at the end of your next turn, at the end of an opponent's next turn, if they don't switch or retreat. It's the same as Galarian Slowking V, Word of Ruin. I forgot Zoroark's attack though. So here comes Irida. Irida versus Adaman. We have Adaman in our deck. Irida versus Adaman. Oh, that's classic. Okay. They actually have a Vulpix. Spoiler alert. The alert is too late. I just gave the spoiler first. So Vulpix is actually an ice type. That means they are weak towards metal, and we are definitely doing a one-hit knockout anyways because they have only 240 HP for a VSTAR. I think it's the lowest by far. But the reason it's that low is because it has a very special effect. The attack actually protects you from all damage done by Pokemon with abilities on the next turn. That means they are not taking any damage if you have Pokemon with abilities in play. If your opponent is doing like if they're attacking with something like Duraludon, you're not taking any damage from Duraludon. Wait, you are though, because Duraludon is G-Max Pulverization, isn't it? It's ignoring all effects on your opponent's active Pokemon, so they are actually taking damage. Pulverization cuts to everything. Okay. What are they gonna do now? We got 2 V-Guards attached. They are so done. They are so done. Greninja's not doing anything. Oh my god. I think Palkia needs Crabominable though. It needs like a Kyurem VMAX or a Crabominable. Kyurem can actually help you do a one-hit knockout quite easily with Star Portal, Melanie, and Oranguru. So Melanie Oranguru gives you like 270 damage every single turn. It may not be enough for your next knockout though. Okay, they're scoping up the Shady. Let's see if they can survive. How long can they survive for though? Alolan Vulpix. We're gonna play Crystal Cave and Coke. And we have 1 damage counter remaining. This is quite sad, isn't it? Palkia finally becoming so weak. Against a heal deck, Palkia is not doing anything. If they have Kyurem though, it's quite common for Palkia to play Kyurem, so I don't think it's that big of a win. Since we are hitting for the weakness as well. It really isn't that fair since we are playing a heal deck. But I'm happy with a Palkia win. Any day, just give me a Palkia win. Palkia Kyurem is kind of broken though. If we can do a boss on a Kyurem before they can hit us, but it's quite unlikely they would actually leave it on the bench before attacking, unless if they haven't evolved yet. If they have enough energies, they would actually, you know, save it on the bench until they can do the knockout. If they have enough energy to do the knockout hit, only then would they be attacking, and that means we can't avoid the one-hit knockout. We have V-Guard though to possibly force them to attach that extra 1 energy. They just need 5 though, don't they? They just need 5 or even 4. 270 plus 50. Well, they need 5. They definitely need 5. 250, 370, 370. So we need 2 V-Guards. If we don't have 2 V-Guards, we can't force them to attach more than 5. And that means they can do Star Portal Melanie to knock us out. We do have our next Metagross though. And Drapion to possibly collect a knockout. So our second Metagross can actually kill the Kyurem with 1 hit if it attacked on the last turn. But since we are starting from scratch, we're only doing 200 damage though. We're only doing 200 damage with Max Rush, which is not good because they're gonna recharge and kill us on the next turn. So we killed the Alolan Vulpix for the final 2 prize. And winning against Palkia VSTAR. Not a big surprise, but oh well. Still a good win. Right now we're up against... we did manage to play Quad Stone though for that game, unfortunately. So not always are you able to pull off Quad Stone. And sometimes it may actually help you for that 10 damage recovery. If you can't play all 4 copies at a time, if you chose to give up playing all 4 copies at once for, max recovery, we want to be keeping for that though, keeping till late game to be able to pull that off, because if we play even 1 copy early game, we can't use it for the quad effect. So it's actually better to save it. But if you know that there's no chance you're gonna pull it off, if you know they have Roxanne or Marnie in your deck, might as well just play it for 10 damage recovery, right? If you know it's not that easy for you to do it, if you know you're not able to pull it off, but you would actually need to wait a few turns though. It's better to wait a couple turns just to make sure like the option is still there. If there is no chance you're ever gonna pull off a Quad Stone, then just do for the 10 damage recovery, because you can still heal a little bit. Since we have V-Guard, 10 damage is still a lot. You would be surprised. So this is the weird game where we got Drapion as our active and they are playing a Shadow Rider. That means they have no strike cards in play and Drapion needs 4 energies to attack. So we are kind of stuck with Drapion inactive. If they do a boss on the Metagross to kill it, we would be done for. So we need to get either the Seal Stone or our Escape Rope into our hand, and we only have that 1 Escape Rope though. If we don't get the Escape Rope, we're gonna be forced to attach 1 energy at a time until we have enough to retreat just to attack with Metagross. And that would be quite nasty, because if they do a boss, we are resetting the damage. Not only that, we're giving them 2 prize with the Drapion. If they do a boss before we evolve the Metagross, if they do a boss on the Metagross after we evolve it, my bad, then they would actually force us to use up our heal cards. If they kill the Drapion right now, I'll be quite happy because Drapion is kind of dead weight for this game. Drapion is not doing anything for this game, so might as well just have it dead. Might as well just sacrifice it. Let's hope they knock it out. We're gonna put Kabu and Metagross in the prize. I normally take my 6th prize last, so that's why I put the Lost City there, since we don't need the Lost City after all. There's no point playing the Lost City against a Shadow Rider. Obviously, it helps a lot against Radiant Charizard. If they play a Lost Box, 1 prize Lost Box, it's gonna help a lot. Okay, they even have a Mew VMAX. The reason I think though is because Max Miracle, right? Max Miracle actually helps you hit against Miltank. So Miltank has the Miracle Body ability, which actually blocks. They have Articuno though, so I'm not really too sure. I think they want to be keeping the energy probably, because if they play Articuno Psy Laser, they're gonna be forced to either have it knocked out on the next turn or just discard the energy. They have to discard the energy though. So even if they don't get knocked out on the next turn, they are discarding before playing the attack. And that means they are doing a lot less damage with Shadow Rider on the next turn. If they keep the energy on the Articuno and play Max Miracle for the Miltank knockout instead, they get to do a one-hit knockout against a VMAX, a VSTAR with their Shadow Rider on the next turn. So that's the power of Mew VMAX in a Shadow Rider deck, which is quite interesting, isn't it? You would never thought that Mew VMAX would actually work in a Shadow Rider. It has potential. Against, you know, Altaria, Miltank, Altaria? I don't really see that anymore. Shining Fates, Altaria. There is even, what's it called again? The Decidueye and Jinx. I don't think it works against Jinx though. Because, you know, the effect works on the player. And it says this attack's damage isn't affected by any effects on your opponent's active Pokemon. It doesn't say, you know, ignore all effects on your opponent's active Pokemon, does it? I'm not sure. But I'm pretty sure though, I'm pretty certain that if you kill a Jinx with Max Miracle, you still don't get to draw a single prize. If you kill a Jinx with G-Max Pulverization, no prize at all. It's still the same thing. Because the ability works on the player, not, you know, against the damage. Okay, we got 1 Quad Stone in our hand. Sometimes 1 copy is all you need though, because you could have like a 4 Seal Stone and an Adaman. If you play Seal Stone for that extra 1 search with Adaman for 2, that means you have essentially 4 copies in hand to play Quad Stone. But now we got nothing but Cook, and we're just gonna make do. We're gonna hope they don't do a knockout on the next turn. We have quite a lot of HP remaining. We don't have a V-Guard attached though, so it's quite scary right now. We have only 150 HP remaining. Max Miracle is not enough, but if they do like Choice Belt, they may be able to kill us. $120. If they do a Choice Belt though, like they just need a Choice Belt. This is kind of bad. Playing the Cook for only 70 HP recovery. We have no Ice Pops, Yell Towel in hand. No PokéStop to dig for them as well. No Forest Seal Stone to search for them as well. So this is quite terrible. No V-Guard on the last turn. 1 Choice Belt would legit be enough though. If they have the Choice Belt on the Articuno, they can't actually kill us right now. Unown. So it's a Shadow Rider Psychic Ghost Box. Thank God, no Choice Belt. Can we do it right now? I don't think we can, because we don't have Adaman. Look at that. Isn't that disappointing? We got 2 Quad Stones, 2 Metal Energy, but no Adaman. What are we gonna do right now? Are we gonna play Kabu or Schoolgirl? I think we should be expecting the active to get knocked out. That's the reason we benched the second one. And let's just attach the V-Guard on the second, what's it called again? Metagross. Because they have 4 prize remaining, so we can actually sacrifice the VMAX. Drapion actually wasted 2 prize, but it's okay because it doesn't really matter since we are playing VMAX anyways. So they still need to kill 2 VMAX to win the game, regardless of Drapion. Unless if they do a boss before we can evolve our second copy. If they do a boss on the next turn with Max Jice to knock it out, then we are forced to heal everything on the first Metagross. And it's not that easy. We got our Adaman though. We got Adaman for the next turn to do the Quad Effect, Quad Stone 4, Max Recovery, 300 damage, but they may just kill the active, or they may just do a boss. Let's hope they do a boss, because if we get to play Quad Stone, they're not killing the bench though. If they do a boss right now, they're not killing the bench. Unless if they play another Articuno, like a research for Articuno or something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, that's enough. They just retreated though. 160 is not enough, so they need the Articuno if they want to do a Metagross knockout on the bench. And they did Crescent Glow, so they gave us 1 turn, and now we get to recover all damage. Look at that, they just wasted 1 turn, not doing anything. I suppose they didn't get the energy. They couldn't get the energy because they're playing way too many Pokemons. They got Cresselia, Articuno, 2 VMAXs with Unown VSTAR. They actually are playing the VSTAR. So they got way too many Pokemons, and that's the reason they're not getting enough energies. And now we even are playing a lot of energies. So sometimes it's a competition of energy. It's a competition of numbers. How many energies do you have in your hand, inside the deck? If you are playing a lot more energies in your deck than your opponent, you are more likely to get them out faster and earlier. If you're playing a lot more items, you would more likely get them on your first turn. You would more likely get your balls and your VIP. If you're playing a lot more supporters, your opponent is going to get a big hand quite easily. So that's the reason numbers, you have to work out the numbers in meta games, because if you know that meta decks play a certain amount of item cards, a certain amount of energies, a certain number of energies, then you can actually counter that by playing more or less energy, by kind of tweaking the numbers to make sure they get stuck. So they can't actually get their VIP on the first turn, they can't get their, supporter cards, stuff like that. Then you can actually force them to, you can delay their game and force them to get stuck. And here comes Lucky Ice Pop for that crazy recovery. We healed so much damage with only 1 Ice Pop. Isn't that crazy? That's like the most annoying card ever. I hate that card so much, but we at least get to play it right now. We get to play it on our side. We get to do Lucky Ice Pop on our side. Because so many times I got screwed over by that Lucky Ice Pop on our opponent's end. It's crazy. You could have like 330 damage counter on your opponent's active, and they could just heal everything with 1 Ice Pop. Isn't that fucking insane? Here comes the VSTAR. It's not doing anything though. Like, it's too late now. They got 1 prize left. We got 1 prize left. They have 4 prize cards left. So if they do Star Cipher, we can kill it on the next turn because they got no Gardevoir. They can play V-Guard though to deny us the knockout. But we just killed the Shadow Rider. So it's too late for Star Cipher anyways. And we won against Shadow Rider with Mew VMAX. I quite like that combo actually. But I don't think you're allowed to play more than 1 VMAX in a game, in a single deck. Especially if you are stacking the ability, since you need like 4 Shadow Riders or at least 3. I don't think you get to play another VMAX with it. So Alcremie Shadow Rider doesn't really work that well, and that's the reason for that. The reason being, you need at least 3 copies of both the VMAX and the V. And if you're playing only 2 Alcremie VMAX even, it's gonna be quite tight, right? Because you need to evolve, you need to find the right cards before you can evolve both your Alcremie and multiple Shadow Riders at that is going to be quite difficult. Even if you're playing Adventurous Discovery, it's still going to be difficult. Because if you do Adventurous Discovery, you can't play any other support cards, you can't get your other item cards, you don't need to do anything else though, I suppose. You just need to evolve and get your energies. Don't really need to do anything else. You may be required to dig for the switch card, the Air Balloon switch, but you are drawing cards with Shadow Rider anyways, so it doesn't really... I guess Adventurous Discovery is the perfect support. Here comes Clefairy. They're doing Clefairy with Mewtwo VSTAR. So Mewtwo is doing a lot of damage. Let's hope we get to play Quad Stone for this game. I don't think we did. We got pretty close, but I don't think we did. So it wasn't the Palkia game, it was this one. This was the game where we got so close to doing Quad Stone at the perfect time though, at just the precise moment where we need to, but eventually we survived that one turn without doing the Quad Stone and won anyways, which is quite surprising. I'm giving off a lot of spoilers, but you guys kind of know my videos. I love to over-narrate. Okay, here comes Moonwatch Party. They got only one Clefairy, but reason being they have the VSTAR. They're doing Evolution, so they can't actually play that many VIP passes and basic summons. They got Energy Switch, Ultra Ball for the VSTAR, Choice Belt on the Clefairy before playing the Research. So Choice Belt is kind of gonna balance out against V-Guard Energy. And I think it's really fun to play PTCG right now because we have those cards, right? Before, I forgot what expansion it came out from. When, I think it's Brilliant Stars. Was it Brilliant Stars that Choice Belt came out? Before Brilliant Stars though, we have no way of adding damage. We have no way of hitting more damage against V Pokemon, which is just really frustrating because you got so close to doing a knockout, but you can't actually do a one-hit knockout. And it's really annoying for one prize decks. One prize decks is not able to hit more than 200 plus damage. It's not able to do a one-hit knockout sometimes. So that Choice Belt is actually giving you a lot more range and a lot more power for your one prize decks. And now we have V-Guard for one prize as well, which is gonna help a lot, especially if you do Pot Helmet. And if you have ability as well to reduce damage like Bastion or stuff like that. What other abilities do we have? IG Slash. Or if you could play Goodra with V-Guard. Goodra with V-Guard would be crazy though. Like, we have Gardevoir, V-Guard, Lake Acuity, Fantina for fucking Goodra. So if they play all of that in a single turn, I bet you would need more than 500 damage just to kill a V-Star. 500 damage, imagine that. Just for 2 prize. Just for 2 prize. And if you don't do it on this turn, you're gonna need way more than 500 in 2 turns just because they are reducing damage every single turn. Unless if they play Fantina only for 1 turn though, they're reducing a lot less. Because Fantina is reducing 120 against V Pokemons. Gardevoir, V-Guard, and Fantina though, they only work against V cards. So that means you can still do a one-hit knockout with your 1 prize, possibly a 1 prize Pokemon, or even Duraludon VMAX. That's why Duraludon has a lot of value right now. Duraludon VMAX is basically ignoring all effects, including special energy, supporter, ability, effects of attacks. You get to cut through all of that and do 220 raw damage on the Goodra V-Star. And even if they Moisture Star, you just need a couple more hits just to kill the Goodra on the next turn. 2 hits for a V-Star knockout is still not good though, because they can do... Goodra can do a lot of damage. So they can kill a VMAX with 2 strikes. And if you need 2 strikes just to kill a V-Star, using Duraludon, I don't think you can win the game that easily. That's why Regidrago is kind of you know, the perfect counter for Gudra, I guess. If they play Gudra without Regidrago, I don't think they can win that easily, because Regidrago can either use Gudra's attack or they can even use Duraludon's attack. Okay, here comes the Mewtwo. Another research. Playing too many research in your deck is not good. You need cards to recover them. If you play items, like a lot more items with your Mewtwo V-Star, like Energy Switch, what else? I don't think they need any other items. Energy Switch is probably the key ones that they need. Or Choice Belt, for example. They are forced to play the Choice Belt on the Clefairy, and that means they're doing less damage with the Mewtwo, and they're playing Radiant Greninja instead of Howlucha. That means they can't actually kill our VMAX with one hit that easily. Especially not if we do a V-Guard. So they got a lot of energies in their deck, because apparently they can attack with Clefairy already. Doing a decent 180 damage, I think. Yep. And we got our Forest Seal Stone with V-Guard energy. We're just gonna attach both right now. It's sometimes wiser to keep the Seal Stone for the next Metagross, or like a Drapion on your bench if you know your opponent is playing strike cards. So sometimes you should be keeping certain cards in your hand, but if you keep too much though, it's kind of a lot more difficult to play Adaman, especially if they do a Marnie on you. If you keep too many cards and don't play them, they're gonna do a Marnie and you're gonna get stuck because you're gonna draw back the same cards, and it's gonna be a lot more difficult to pull off the Quad Stone. So sometimes it's better just to use up the cards, keep playing your items and, you know, supporters, Pokemon, discard them if you know you don't need them. If you have your extra copy, if you have an extra copy of your basic Metagross, you can discard the other one. Not too early though. If you discard it too early, you may not be able to summon the second, you know, you may not be able to bench it at the right time just before your active gets knocked out. If you need to bench it like right now, you may not be able to search for it because we only have 2 Quick Ball, 2 Ultra Ball to get the second Metagross. So don't discard it too early. Okay, another Mewtwo. Oh my god. It's not as great as Lunatone though. Lunatone Soul Rock doesn't require Recycler. But the bad thing about Lunatone Soul Rock is that you only get to attach 1 energy for each Soul Rock in play. So you get to reattach 1 energy from the discard pile with your Sun energy. With your Clefairy though, you just need a lot of switch cards to be able to attach up to 3 or even 2 energy at a time. If you need bench supports though, I don't think you can attach that many. So if you have 2 Clefairy on the bench, for example, you're only able to attach 2 for each time you use the ability. And you don't really need that much though. Mewtwo doesn't require that much psychic energy. You just need 3 energy every single turn. 3 energy, even if you do what's it called again, energy switch onto the Mew VMAX. You may be forced to discard all energies from your Mewtwo, but even then you just need to play another energy switch on the next turn, or even Raihan. If you do Raihan for your next Mewtwo, it would be better, because that way you get to kind of look back the energies on your Clefairy. Okay, we're gonna do Seal Stone right now, and unfortunately we're not able to pull off the Quad Stone just yet. Okay, we're gonna Quick Ball, discard the Parasol. And we actually have Empoleon for this deck. We have Empoleon V instead of Drapion. So that's the funny thing about Kabu, is that if you bench a second one, you are drawing a lot less cards. So that's why we have 1 extra copy of Marnie right now. For this game though, I think we have 4 copies of Kabu. I don't think we have a choice. We have to attach the energy. So they are definitely doing a knockout on the next turn. Let's just do Star Alchemy right now, because we kind of expect for the active to stay alive. We have to expect to get knocked out. Even if they do Clefairy, I'm pretty sure they can kill us, because V-Guard doesn't work against Clefairy. So we have Serena for this deck. This is a very fun game because we actually have Serena, and we can quite easily do a boss on the Mewtwo on the bench. If they retreat to the bench and attack with Clefairy, we can do Serena for the final knockout. We're not killing the active though, unfortunately. We're not killing the Mewtwo just yet. So they're probably going to evolve it already, the second V-Star. Before we're able to pull off the Serena. Okay, now I thought we were killing the active. I'm sorry guys, but we're actually not able to knock out the Mewtwo. So now they got like 1 prize ahead of us. They have 3 prizes drawn and we only drew 2 prizes. But on the next turn though, we would be slightly ahead. V-Star versus VMAX. And apparently we did our V-Star attack. Sorry, a V-Star ability, and they haven't used their V-Star power yet. I don't think Mewtwo's V-Star power works that well. If they do Psy Raid right now, I think they would have a lot more damage in the game. Turn in 40 on both Metagross. But they know we are healing the damage though. So they should be doing a knockout right now. I don't think it's wise to play Psy Raid against a heal deck, because we even have Crystal Cave in this deck. I think we are playing 3 copies of the cave for this game. When I started off building this combo, I know I built 3 caves because I wanted to use the stadium as much as I can for early recoveries, because we are not able to pull up the quad stone that early. And Crystal Cave is going to be really helpful if your opponent don't play any stadiums, or if they don't get their stadiums. If they only play like 3 or 2 copies, you may be able to heal every single turn though, or at least 2 or 3 turns for 1 copy of the stadium, which is a good deal because it heals 30 at a time every single turn. So we played Peonia to get 1 quad stone from the prize, and we actually put it back. We're forced to put it back. I think they did Psy Raid. Okay, they actually did Psy Raid. They did Psy Raid on last turn, and that means we got another turn. If they didn't do Psy Raid, we would have to pull off the quad stone. We have no choice but to pull off the quad stone. But now we actually have extra space to do something else. We're going to draw back the quad stone. We may have the final prize as a stone, but we chose to draw back the energy because we need to do we need to search for another item with our Adaman. So if we get another copy of the quad stone somehow, we have no PokéStop for this game. We're not doing PokéStop. That's the reason we didn't get our quad stone that easily. So PokéStop is gonna help you a lot more. Tracking shoes as well is gonna edge you to getting that 1 quad stone, that 1 extra copy a lot easier. And sometimes you just need that extra 1. Especially when you've used up a lot of cards in your deck. You know, late game, sometimes you just need that extra 1. Fog Crystal. We have Netball for Sun and Moon, and now for Sword and Shield we got Fog Crystal. Netball actually works on tag team as well. Isn't that crazy? So Fog Crystal doesn't work on V-Union because V-Union is not considered as basic for some reason. And VSTAR / VMAX is not considered as stage 1. Well, obviously, but when I first started, when it first came out, I thought a VMAX is considered as a stage 1. That's why when Zoroark came out, I was losing my shit. I was losing my mind when they came out with Zoroark Phantom Transformation. I thought that ability works for VMAX. I thought you could transform into a VMAX. Cause that would be pretty crazy, isn't it? Evolving Skies though is not that early, it's quite late. By then I should realize that VMAX is not considered as stage 1. But when GX was out, there is a stage 1 GX. Because if you evolve into a stage 1 Pokemon, if you evolve a GX Pokemon, it's still considered as a stage 1. If you evolve a V Pokemon, it's not considered as a stage 1 anymore. VMAX, VSTAR, same goes for V Union. It's not considered as a basic. I guess it makes sense, doesn't it? Okay, right now we are forced to play Adaman for... We're forced to play Adaman for heal cards. If we don't heal with Adaman, they may just attach a Choice Belt and win the game. Because 270 damage is enough to kill us. We have exactly 270 HP left. And we have a V-Guard, but they could do a Choice Belt. So I don't know why I passed this turn. Because we have to do an Adaman. If we don't do Adaman, they could quite easily knock us out with a Choice Belt. I don't know what I'm doing. We have no choice. I guess I wanted so bad to do the Quad Stone. I wanted to keep the Adaman until we have the Quad Stone. But we couldn't even do it anyways. I think we did Zap Traction at some point. We did Zap Traction and didn't search for the Quad Stone. Reason being, I thought, I was so expecting a Marnie. Because you never know when Marnie or Roxanne is going to show up. So I was just kind of being very pessimistic and like, you know what? There's no point searching for even one copy of the Quad Stone. Let's just not do anything. Let's just search for the Crystal Cave and something else. Big mistake. And here comes Cypurge. They did not attach any tool cards. So we get to survive one turn and it's over. We won the game. We didn't get to pull off the Quad Stone though. So we only have 3 copies after playing the Adaman. Unfortunately, we did not recover full damage with that crazy quad item against Mewtwo V-Star, which would be perfect though if we get to play it. Oh well. Let's go for the next one. So I think I'm just gonna end the voice right here. Leave you guys to focus on the game. Hope you guys enjoyed this new combo. They are featuring a new Quad Stone from Silver Tempest, which allows you to heal all damage from each of your Pokemon if you play all 4 copies at the same time. We are also doing our Metagross VMAX to tank a lot of damage with V-Guard Energy, and also Lucky Ice Pop, Yell Towel, Crystal Cave with Cook for the extra damage recovery. Early recovery, we need to play our usual item cards, but eventually we have to play Quad Stone for max recovery using an item. That means we get to keep our energies without doing Hyper Potion, without doing Cheryl. We get to attack again on the next turn, doing 250 damage over and over until we win the game, until we collect all 6 prizes for the win. So that's all for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you next time. Have a great day and bye for now, people. Enjoy your life.